USA.
For years now, Disney Star Wars fans have pushed the narrative that the rejection of the Disney trilogy and all Disney Star Wars is part of a cycle of the toxic fandom, dating back to 1983 with Return of the Jedi and even further back with Empire Strikes Back. Now we have Dune adaptation director Denis Villeneuve piling on, while talking to the Town podcast, which is hosted by former entertainment attorney Matthew Baloney. He was asked whether or not he'd like to direct a Star Wars movie someday. Villeneuve said no. He went on to say the following: I was the target audience. I was 10 years old. It went to my brain like a silver bullet. I became obsessed with Star Wars, he said. I mean, The Empire Strikes Back is the movie that I anticipated the most in my life. I saw the movie a billion times on screen. I was traumatized by The Empire Strikes Back. I adore Star Wars. The problem is that it all derailed in 1983 with Return of the Jedi, he continued. It's a long story. I was 15 years old, and my best friend and I wanted to take a cab and go to LA and talk to George Lucas. We were so angry. So, number one, George wasn't in LA, right? He was in Northern California, either at his house or at Skywalker Ranch. Still today, the Ewoks. It turned out to be a comedy for kids. Star Wars became crystallized in its own mythology, very dogmatic. It seemed like a recipe, no more surprises. So I'm not dreaming to do a Star Wars, because it feels like code is very codified. Okay? Yes, a comedy for kids with Leia in a bikini. Luke threatened to be eaten by a creature called the Rancor after an implied meal on a scantily clad Twi'lek dancer and an outright display of the beast feasting on a Gamorrean, Jabba the Hutt being choked to death by Leia, Yoda dying a somber death and seemingly leaving Luke alone. Speaking of Luke, his quest to kill his own father being turned on its head to him redeeming his father. His father, who killed Palpatine, thus bringing balance to the Force. But it's a kid's movie because George used Ewoks, right? The Ewoks, who were born of a need to differentiate from the original idea of a forest battle taking place with Wookiees. If you look at A New Hope and even the traumatizing Empire, there are as many comedy moments as there are in Jedi. The fact that Jedi wasn't a paint by the numbers script, where Luke simply dueled and killed Vader and the Emperor, was the surprise Villeneuve was too stupid to see, either as an adult or as a 15-year-old kid. Honestly, he seems to be right up Disney Lucasfilm's alley to direct something branded as Star Wars. He's a fake fan.